Всем добрый день, друзья. Мы возвращаемся к эфиру.
Hello, dear friends. We're coming back to our broadcasting. I'm Dmitry Kim. I've agreed with the speakers and I moved to moderators of this broadcast.
Оказывается, можно решить любой
And
вопрос.
for
Шутка.
the money, you can solve any problems. Dear friends,
Мы несколько
today
гости у нас уже новые, поэтому
we have some new guests, and I would introduce them to you. And then afterwards, I will tell to the guys, maybe you were not able to look at the topics. That's why I'm going to tell you what are we going to discuss today.
первым
So,
представлю Анатолия Иванова,
I would like to introduce Anatoly Ivanov. Anatoly Ivanov.
компании Positive Technologies,
He's from Positive Technologies. He's responsible for the development of bug bounty platform Standoff 365.
Алексей Томилов, технический директор.
Alexei Tomilov, technical director. Your company is probably called Rebrandico. Rebrandico. I just didn't want to mix this. Dmitry Gadar,
И директор
vice president and information security director from Tinkoff.
Сафронов, директор
Ilya Safronov,
инфраструктуры.
security director, infrastructural director. Yes, I remember everything from a VK company.
Сегодня хотелось бы
Guys, today I would like to discuss bug bounty with you and why this tool is an ethical one and why this tool is still used by so few people and so few clients in the market. But the first question is about this.
Вроде инструмент существует давно.
Well, the tool exists, and you, as tech people, you know that companies are using this tool, but why so few companies are using this tool? Dima, please start.
Вопрос непростой, потому что
Well, it's not a simple question because I'm using it for many years.
есть какие-то внутренние
There
ограничения.
are some internal limitations, seems, which do not allow
Может переприоритизировать
maybe to reprioritize the work of IT department. We know that it's vulnerable, so we are going to put it for later.
с тем,
Or
что
maybe there's a story about the fact that
признать
partially they will have to admit
уязвимости есть.
that vulnerabilities are there. In
Потенциально.
different companies, potentially they can perceive it differently, and maybe there could be a feeling on the level of head of the company that if there is a vulnerability, it's a missing point of specific people in security, and different measures will be attracted against them. These are all assumptions,
Основанные,
and there is unjustified doubt
баг-баунти может использовать.
that bug bounty can be used by black hats,
Кажется, что
and it seems that
эта ситуация скорее обратная.
this is a reverse situation. If people find vulnerability, then bug bounty gives them possibility to submit these vulnerabilities.
Пытаться
Yeah, it's all in the legal field and not just trying to sell these vulnerabilities somewhere for other money on the black market, and result can be very negative.
что это предположение.
Once again, I would like to say this is an assumption because it seems that bug bounty should be done, definitely.
Поддерживаю.
And I fully support you. Ilya, talk to me.
Дима поднял вопрос, который
Dima
скорее с тем, что
have discussed a topic that companies should go and do it publicly and as if confirming that one can find some vulnerabilities on their side. But when you were going to bug bounty, did you have those fears as well? Did you explain to your top management that you will have vulnerabilities? It's okay, it's no problem. Well, in our company, we didn't have those fears.
Компания зрелая, поэтому
We are a mature IT company. That's why we've been looking at this more as a tool, very effective tool for searching vulnerabilities. I understand what Dimo was speaking about because most of the companies are not ready, but our company was ready for this.
страха не было, наоборот, мне кажется,
That's why we didn't have any fear, and it was very interesting for all of us what's going to be delivered to us,
у нас как бы,
and they didn't fail us. You know, we had a good feeling about it.
была похожая история. Мы
And we had a similar story. We've been launching bug bounty for our product, Standoff 365, this platform. And, you know, the guys before it have been testing our system and they've been worrying because, you know, we went to the bug bounty and they've been worrying because, well, it's understandable that you do a lot of different researches in the market. You research the security, but in this case, this is your own product and, you know, you look at it totally differently.
аудиты свои.
We also do audits of our releases, and it's understandable that, well, you have checked everything, but then somebody delivers a bug to you. But you have to understand there is a time limitation that you have. That's number one,
Ограничение ресурсов. И второе,
resource limitation.
если у тебя, например,
And another thing is that when you have 3 releases per day, you will not be able to check all of them. I agree.
больше
So from this point of view, you need help of bug hunters because there are more of them than in the stuff. This is the story.
процесс.
Well, it's a continuous process.
То есть
relatively speaking.
у тебя аудит внутренний или
If you have internal or external audit, they will do it for you
временной?
in some time stamp. Okay, they've checked it, and bug bounty, they constantly are checking you.
Добавить,
Хочется
Дим?
просто обратить
You
внимание.
wanted to add something, or you wanted to bring attention to this particular element. And I think this is a key element in bug bounty, because bug bounty is a process. Pen test, it's a project, more likely.
Тестов, на мой
And pen test problem is that it becomes old at the end of the pen test.
актуален. Ну,
And it's not actual, not important, not interesting, because the infrastructure is dynamic. It changes, and you will have new vulnerabilities, you will have new infrastructural points. There's some piece of shadow IT the company doesn't know about, and scopes of pen test, time limitation, and the end of the pen test tells you that pen test can be less effective element where you pay for the process, and you have to understand the objectives, why you do that. It's not about checking the protectedness.
цели проверить.
There are specific goals to check some specific process, some specific function which has to work in a specific way, and then it repeats your expectations or not. But bounty is something different. It's a process, continuous process of searching for vulnerabilities. And from this point of view, you are paying not for the process of pen testing, not for team time, but you are paying for the specific result for vulnerabilities, and this is pretty cool.
Bug bounty.
Can then bug bounty become an indicator that you have very good security,
Достаточный.
or this is not sufficient?
Баг-баунти
I wouldn't call bug bounty, well, bug bounty, it's one of necessary elements. One of. But bug bounty is not a silver bullet, definitely. And what happens inside of it, nobody knows it, and it's not necessarily that all the vulnerabilities will be delivered to you during the bug bounty. And as one of the justified fears is that vulnerability sold to you can be sold to 50 other places and can be published in Habra and can be exploited by the same person who sold it to you.
Да, здесь нужно Security Operation Center у нас.
So security operations center should be aware about it. So every discovered vulnerability is being checked.
Вафы не отработали.
Why WAFs didn't work, why OPSEC at the first stage have not discovered this vulnerability, but their tools. And then it goes
Попадает в правила, ну,
into the rule
Dust.
of tools, SAST, DASTA, YASTA, whatever.
Это проверяет
And
Security Operation Center.
this is checked by the Security Operations Center. What specifically was done, step-by-step sequence has been restored.
Смотреть на это глубже.
So if you look at it deeper, it's just one of the cubes, and you should look at it as a cube, and you can rotate it differently. That's what we do. We rotate it differently. We have a lot of internal programs and branching from bug bounty.
Не два человека, которые вышли, подали
We
заявку.
don't have like two people who have supplied and triage it. No, we have the whole department involved in it. Bug bounty as one of the tools. To properly understand that bug bounty for you is not a tool for vulnerability search, as a tool for
Процессов.
building processes.
Совершенствование, либо выстраивание
It's a tool of improving in building the absent processes. I don't remember that we had absent processes, but it's an instrument of improving the processes and adding some necessary knowledge to them, because it would be very strange if TIM would use only SOC.
инфрасек пользовался.
Because InfraSec should use it, OPSEC should use it. Well, SOC
Получателем этого
is a recipient of this TI. Why bug bounty is not perceived as some kind of a TI? Because some 0 days are available there, which can be private. They may not even be published, and there is no other way to find them.
на всех процессах информации.
And you can use them like in all the process of informational security. So if you have a bug bounty, it doesn't say nothing about your security.
Ну, как бы недостаток bug bounty.
Well, the deficiency of the bug bounty, it's not bug bounty in itself, but
Рассчитывая, что это серебряная пуля, проблема в том,
when somebody thinks that this is a silver bullet, the problem is that bug bounty rules do not allow social network. For example, your bug bounty does not permit social networks 99.9. I'm confident.
ну, как бы асоциалка это вполне себе настоящий вектор, да, который
But social network is a good vector through which you can be broken, and you can have a lot of inconveniences and even more than vulnerabilities sometimes. It's just
как бывший
a
бакан.
thought as a previous bug hunter.
Bug Bounty, потому что по нашим
That's why we are reviewing the scope of bug bounty, because according to our internal matrix, it's not sufficient amount of reports. We want to pay more for this. We want to receive more reports, and we think this is a cool channel of receiving information personally about us. Everybody likes when he's being spoken about,
профессиональное комьюнити.
and we want to have professional community to speak more about our security, help us in building this security, because it's much more dangerous if it's going to be used by black hats. You shouldn't close your eyes on this. You should use it. Definitely. Anatoly,
Дима подсветил как раз-таки очень
like Dimo was speaking about it, it's a proper story
у многих клиентов, которые
that many clients which come to bug bounty or just to learn about bug bounty, they have some fears that
поломать,
fraudsters will come to you, they will break something, you will lose money, you'll be fired, etc. You'll not be able to pay your mortgage, etc.
вы объясняете на
So
площадке.
how do you explain to your clients on the platform, and how do you work with the communities?
Все довольно просто.
Well, everything's very simple here.
Компании, которые выходят,
Those companies which go for bug bounty,
99%
they, well, 99.9%, they go with those sites, with those applications for audit, which already are sticking out in the internet. For example, if you're sticking out in the internet, you already being scanned by millions of people from different countries of the world. They're trying to break with CVE, Van Dam, and other bugs for which there are exploits. You're already being broken. And bug bounty, from this point of view, doesn't give any advantage. So from the fact that there is somebody evil that will be registered in our platform, there will be no advantage to this. In our company, we don't give any special internal VPNs. We don't have any bypasses to firewalls. It's not available. You don't get any additional benefits from getting registered with us. That's why
сервис уже опубликован в
if your service has already been published in the internet, it's already been scanned, it's already been broken. Bug bounty, it's like Dima properly said, and I liked it,
интернете, где ты можешь
that it's a proper place where you, as a researcher, you can break and submit some problems in security, staying in a legal framework and receiving some money for this.
мы работаем с комьюнити, мы
We work with the community.
треки
We conduct educational tracks. We explain some additional things. For example, we just been standing in front of the booth and we've been speaking about the rules of the program, what can be done, what cannot be done. And we did have some gray zone, and we've been discussing, can this be done, or maybe this cannot be done. And honestly speaking,
на площадках не видел. У нас
I never seen it on other platforms. We have our own Telegram chat with bug hunters and companies, etc. And we have a special post on the top, pinned post. If you have any questions on the Rambler program, please write to this guy. If VK program, write to this guy. On standoff program, write to this guy. So we are open completely, and we do keep this communication not only with the platform,
но еще и
represented by me, but also with companies which are being hosted. You can write to the company. Okay, do you want to check social networks? Yeah, we can. Why not?
оказалось,
And yeah, why? And they figured out that it's possible. That's why we are working this direction. So Alexei can also do that.
сколько ты чувствуешь?
Yes, I wanted to ask, how do you feel, and do you feel the love of Tolik on the platform when Tolik sends negative smiles to you? Not only in the chat, but we've been talking about this gray story, potentially gray story, which might happen when somebody can do something. And this communication is very useful, because when you don't have direct communications with vendors, with holder of the platform, then it's going to be very difficult to imagine whether should you submit what you have discovered, because it can work, it may not work, it may go to the gray scheme, and then, relatively speaking,
поставят или еще что-то.
you will have M&A or whatever on the bug bounty platform, and that your rating is going to drop.
Это очень важная история.
Because rating is a very important story of gamification for the bug hunter. Which place do you take, where you have submitted, and what have you submitted, because the amount, it works on the bug hunting, and
Делает у кого-то это
some people do it, some people do it successfully, and I do believe it. However, it's not a stable money making.
я чувствую.
So I do feel love of Anatoly, definitely.
То есть ты считаешь, что ну
So you think that possibly the question to you was from the side, of
Хантера. Ну, то есть
Backhunter.
важно
How is it important to you to have these transparent communications from the side of the platform and from the side of the vendor which have launched this program? Does it influence anything? And do you hunt more actively because of it? And what is the difference where they pay more money and where will you go?
Конечно,
Well,
там
if they pay more money somewhere, especially if there are some campaigns, multiplying coefficients, that's wonderful. But nevertheless,
ломаешь то, что тем
you break
сервисами, которыми ты
something or those services which you use yourselves. You understand how it works, you see what's convenient, what's not, and then you make some decisions and do some actions on the basis of this. About communication, it's very useful, as I've told you in my reply,
опять
to clear out certain points.
часто бывает история с выходом за скоп.
Very often we have out of scope stories, and on some platforms, this is being punished very strictly. It's removed from the privates, etc. In some other, if you show a very good vector which allows to do some critical or whatever, or high submit,
Контрагентов, через еще что-то.
and to the counter agents, whatever, which in principle can work for 2.72 of Criminal Code of Russian Federation, and you cross the fingers behind your back and then write to the platform and you ask them, well, there is a hypothesis that this can work. What should we do?
Решение той или
And then we search for the solution of this problem.
вы
Да,
решаете,
да,
как
да.
вы будете
И уж-
действовать дальше.
And then you will do it calmly. Well, this is pretty cool. So this is back to the question of ethical approach and what motivates back hunters to research this ethical pathway because they can earn money in darknet and different ways.
Не секрет, что их
And it's not a secret that their skills are very unique and they can be sold for big money. What puts them to become ethical? Well, I cannot speak about other people. I can speak for myself. Since childhood, since 9, 10 years old,
кнопочки стал нажимать какие-то,
I started pressing some buttons in IT and something started working for me. You know,
темную сторону, ну, воспитание.
I wasn't pulled to the dark side. Maybe I'm adequate person, I cannot say, but I don't have this golden something. I'm not pulled by the dark side.
А
I have another question.
Что же на него ответить? Хейтят бэкхантеры вот
Back hunters are being hated.
у себя в чате?
Do back hunters hate dark hats in their chats or not? Well, as a former back hunter, I would like to say that you're being motivated to stay on a light side of security by the desire of sleeping peacefully at night.
Лично меня, да, и не тех, там,
Personally, for me,
с которыми я про это когда-то разговаривал.
and those few people that I've been talking to about, are we being hated? No, no.
Ну, это в целом не обсуждается. То есть, ну,
Well,
просто,
it's not discussed.
условно говоря, ты же не обсуждаешь там
For example, you're not discussing
из Касперского там работу.
people from Kaspersky working in a competitive company.
Ну, типа,
Well, they exist. These some other guys. Maybe you know some of them personally, or maybe you don't even know that person works in Kaspersky. So these are different hangouts, different teams which are not crossing over with each other.
Этика,
But there is certain ethics in security
также было много
because I did have a lot of possibilities and ways,
у любого безопасника.
like any security guy,
Какая-то двойной игры или
to have a double game or to move to the dark side. There's a lot of temptations and a lot of offers exist in this world when you live. So by moving to another side, you understand the dependency from Damocles' sword, and you will expect when someday somebody will knock your door.
безопасник, знаешь, как себя,
And as a security guy, you know how you can catch yourself.
если сейчас
And you understand that if they cannot catch you right now, technologies are advancing and digital footprints are left forever. Technologies are moving forward. And from the point of view of security guy,
что ты, наверное, там и останешься. Если ты один раз
if you're white hat, you will stay there. But if you go once for the black hat, you will stay there forever. That's why the question about whether platforms can be used by blacks,
корректно поставлен,
well, it's not a correctly specified question. Blacks shouldn't use. They will never go to your platform
как бы в то,
so that they wouldn't step in a place where they can be de-anonymized. There's zero sense in it, no profit, small revenues, and you go into the field where you can just be disclosed. I understand.
На платформе, ну,
And what about your platform from the point of view of bug bounty program? You have the biggest and the most expensive program.
какие-то у тебя были интересные реакции?
Did you have any interesting reactions from hackers at these super mega big payments?
В Телеграме.
Кружочки не записывали, наоборот,
Circles in Telegram.
пишут: «Здравствуйте, я
Hackers do right. They say, "Hello, my battery broke in my machine.
там такие».
I'm collecting money for my car," or things like that.
То, что были
You're right.
достаточно сдержанные, пишут, реакции, были большие прям.
They had very seldom reactions, and there were some big payments. Wow, we've paid like
Вот в этом году 3,6
this year
миллиона мы платили.
3.6 million rubles for one bug. For one bug. Yeah, for one bug.
Соответственно,
Therefore,
но такие баги обычно находят люди, знаешь,
but these bugs are found by people who are used to this. They say, okay, business as usual, they say.
У тебя, Толян, были
Pretty
какие-то
cool.
супер крупные
Toля, did you have any big payments in your career?
Да.
Yeah.
Я тогда тусовался на хакерване,
I
это
was hanging in HackerOne 2019.
лайфхакинг ивент.
I came to live hacking event. I was called.
Билет, ничего не оплачивают, ты просто...
Nothing is paid for you. Just come by yourself. You live by yourself on your own account.
И мы
So
что-то там переписывались, собственно.
and we've been communicating with a girl that called me in the chat, and she's like, "Okay, what goals do you have?" I'm saying, "Okay, let's try to make money for Tesla."
Это вопрос был.
It was a joke,
Ну, оказалось, что
but
я
it figured out
заработал на Тесле.
that in one event I've earned enough money for Tesla
Мы копнули в то место, которое вот никто не...
because we dug in a place that nobody was digging, and we
Нет.
did get it.
Я сделал стартап.
And I made my startup.
А вот у меня, кстати,
For this money, I made a startup.
есть ли смысл приносить вообще
So is there a sense to bring to bug bounty something non-specific, not event application, not mobile applications that we are used to, but something like electric cars, driverless drones, whatever?
Бинарный эксплойт был.
Бинарный
Уязвимость
There was a binary exploit,
хардварная.
Ну, то есть как ты...
hardware binary exploit. Is there a sense to bring something non-standard? Ilya has a physical
рассылаем,
speakers.
тоже разослали. Я думаю,
Yeah, we have distributed them during the PH days. Of course, you can do it. You, as a vendor, if you're interested, you agree with the platform and with top hackers, you send your hardware, no problems with it. I have two speakers with me as well.
Назад
Мы
как раз
должны
к вам
были
заехал,
отправить,
забрал
да.
2 days ago, I came to you and I picked them up.
бакантером здесь.
And I took them with me to give them to bug hunters. So you give it to bug hunters to research.
Потом возвращают,
Yeah.
или вы им даете?
And do they return them or you give it as a gift? We give it as a gift.
хорошие, поэтому.
Because we know that these are good guys.
Можно, кстати,
They can break it and they can use it.
делали так.
At one program, they did it in the following way. Some post terminals, they've been broken and they've been hosting on the bug bounty. And they say, okay, guys, we have post terminal. It costs like $150 or $250. In order to get it, you have to make an application, you have to pay, blah, blah, blah. But they say,
Деньги мы вам с первого...
buy them for your own money, but with the first vulnerability, we'll compensate it plus bounty.
Короче, можно так делать, если железо...
You can do it like that. If it's an expensive hardware, you can invite researcher to buy it, but then you will compensate when they submit valid vulnerability.
И исследовал
Let's see.
какие неспецифичные
Have you researched some non-specific systems?
что-то очень...
And is it something very narrow in the bug bounty? Or there's a lot of cases like that. Companies do bring something unique for the bug bounties.
Мобайл,
Well, speaking about web and mobile, that is classical situation. But speaking about BB, but speaking about pen tests, yes, we did have it, but it's a totally different story.
поэтому для меня баг-баунти это более такой
That's why for me, bug bounty is a very facultative activity.
что-то
It's
делать.
like you do some pen test, you do something, you break something, you research something, but then your eyes get soapy, then it doesn't work,
Надо переходить
and
что-то
then you have to switch to something.
скоп. Заходишь, о, скоп, о, прикольно, ну-ка, пошел, раз, что-то
Then you go to another scope, and then something else you have found, interesting bug, good or bad, and then, well, that's it.
воодушевляет.
The inspiration came back, and then, well, I can do it, and you move on.
Да, получается, у
It's a
тебя
creative,
именно связанные с баг-баунти, а?
Ну, скорее всего, да.
creative activity related to bug bounty, yeah.
А с точки зрения, там, вот...
And from the point of view of bug hunting, in bug hunting, how long did you come to bug hunting and how did you come to it? At which moment of time you said to yourself, well, I'm going to be bug hunter? Well, it started back in 2000. Well, there were no platforms. There were in the year 2003, 2004, maybe before that, I don't remember.
Что-то находишь,
So when you just find something, you use something, some service, you find something unclear and not understandable, and it works and it gives the data of somebody else's users, or you find some error and you write to the support and say, hey guys, hello, there is something broken with you. It's like that, like that, like that.
другой уровень.
And then you go to a totally different level.
Информационный
You search for people from information security, like LPRs.
с ними общаешься.
You communicate with them. And then there are bug bounty platforms, and you say, pretty cool.
Не просто писать и думать сейчас.
And it's not that you just can write, but it's 272 or not 272 or maybe some other criminal code article. But anytime you write from your mail transparently, and if they will come, they say, you will say, well, I'm transparent, here are my logs, here's the data, I wasn't stealing anything from you.
Бэкграунд площадки это очень круто.
And the fact that there are bug bounty platforms, it's pretty good. They help to accumulate. And in addition to the fact that you can find something on services which you use, which you really use,
И вот это
you also have this gamification as ratings and other features, which also give you some advantages and internal petting of yourself.
Илья, у меня последний вопрос.
Dimitri, I have the final question to you.
Репутация бэкхантера на площадке. Ну, то есть вы прям когда приглашаете...
How important is Backhunter's reputations on the platform? You invite people to certain events, programs. The reputation is the most important thing, or maybe there's some personal moment through which you select those researchers.
Говорил, что метрики
Well, as I've told you previously, we have totally different matrices. We need to get maximal number of reports. That's why
ну, то есть баг-баунти, ну,
bug bounty events. We have 4 bug bounties, including our own.
расстроены, что
We are disappointed with the fact that HackerOne has left because we've been receiving a lot of reports from them. And our matrix is in the number of reports, not even findings, but reports.
Репутация имеет значение.
And reputation does matter, but most important parameter is the number of reports. And we are ready to receive that number which we need.
С Димой количество, нам важно еще...
I agree. Numbers are important, but criticals also are important.
что
And due to the fact that
ушли,
foreign platforms have left, but some guys stayed here, and the world
и там
has collapsed somehow.
важно...
So it is very important.
Друга знают, условно
Well,
говоря.
everybody knows each other here. Everybody knows each other. So we do keep contacts with everybody,
Человеческие отношения произрастают.
and this leads to better human relations. And what is important to us, it's not just some game reputation, but we know that
Принесет, тогда мы...
this person is a good person, and then we can invite him to a private or do something for us.
Я думаю, что как только ты в комьюнити
So I think as soon as you communicate in the community, you bring good bugs, you have good reputation, or
ты знаешь, и те знают, что надежный человек,
you know somebody,
и ты можешь приносить баги.
and then people will communicate with you. Maybe they will bring out-of-scope bugs, or maybe some unusual bugs, etc. I understand.
Наше время подходит
Friends, our time comes to an end.
за то, что вы пришли на эфир.
I'm thanking you for coming to this broadcast and sharing your expertise. It was fun.
Интересно.
It was interesting. That's why thank you very much.
И я, наверное, буду заканчивать наш эфир.
So I'm going to end this broadcast. We're going to come back to you.
Поэтому я дальше не
My money have already been spent, so I'm not going to be able to be your host. So thank you very much,
смотрите наши эфиры
dear
дальше.
friends. Please watch us.
Интересного.
And there's going to be a lot of interesting things ahead of us. The standoff finals will be happening, so please don't get disconnected. We'll see each other.